Hey guys, it's Realtor Adele, your favorite realtor and investment property strategist. With so much talk in the marketplace about a recession and housing crash, today we're taking a closer look and peeling back the layers to find out exactly what all of this means and how it affects you if you're in the market to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. What is a recession? I think for the majority of us, when we hear the word recession, it automatically jolts us back to 2008. It was a really dark time for the economy, for everyone. We were all affected, either individually and, of course, collectively. So, obviously, the word recession is not to be taken lightly. Many people lost jobs, lost their homes, were ultimately uprooted. I remember back then, of course, hindsight is 2020, but after I want to say the worst of it, and I reflected, I remember it taking me 6 months to get one commission check. And I think it was like 5,300 and something dollars. Um, but long story short is it wasn't until like it was happening and we didn't realize it. That's why I feel it's important now to, hey, let's peel back the layers and kind of take a look at what all of this talk really means. Um, but as I mentioned, there has been an economic slowdown. We've been experiencing that bit by bit as the cost of goods and services continue to rise. For example, gas prices. We've experienced hike in gas prices, I think, for over a year now. Things such basic things such as food, the cost to go to a movie, cost to have dinner out, right? So these are all things that contribute to an economic slowdown because naturally, if the cost to participate in these things continue to get higher, at some point we're gonna not do that anymore, or we'll stop doing that or cut back. With housing, it is no different. Um, so, with the spike in interest rates as well as the hike in home prices, some buyers have delayed their home search. And so the big question is, are we in a recession? And right now, we're going to take a look at what the experts are saying about all of this. Here's a quote from the Wall Street Journal that says recession fears surge among CEOs. Survey suggests three-quarters of global CEOs say we are in a recession or will be in the next 12 to 18 months, according to a new survey. My personal opinion is that some sort of economic slowdown is happening everywhere for the simple fact that we are in a rising rate and or inflationary environment. And if the price of goods and services continue to rise, there has to be some breaking point. There is gonna be a point where whatever price is presented is all that the market can bear, is all that the general consumer or the public can afford to pay. And as a result, there will be an economic slowdown. The next few slides are going to address recession and answer that question, are we in a recession, which is what this video is about. But the next few slides will show feedback from various sources. And by the end of it, you should be able to answer that question for yourself. Are we in a recession or not? You know, I'm all for doing your own research so that you can make the best decision for yourself and your families and providing you with reputable sources in which to get that information from. This particular slide shows a quote from the National Bureau of Economic Research, who defines a recession as a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months. Normally visible in real GDP, which is the country's gross domestic product, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. What is the role of the Feds during a recession or pending recession? Many people feel that the Federal Reserve's job is to set mortgage interest rates. However, while they do influence interest rates, the Fed does not set interest rates. However, what they do set is the federal fund rate, and then that in turn influences the rate that mortgage lenders set. Now, on the following slide, there is an article regarding the Fed's goal during the recession, and there's also an interview as well in that regard. But I encourage you to read the article and also to listen to the interview, and that was recorded the last week in July. But as I mentioned, I do encourage you to go ahead and listen to that. It'll put things in perspective in regard to the Federal Reserve and basically their role during a recession. And so their goal this time around is to engineer a soft landing. And of course, in order to tame a recession, interest rates or mortgage rates are spiked in order to slow down the economy. So higher mortgage rates tend to slow the economy down. However, it does require a delicate balance, and that is what the article on the following slide talks about. So please go ahead and listen to it. I'll see you a few slides down. How would housing or the real estate market be affected by a recession? In the following slides, we're going to peel back the layers and take a look at data that shows how housing was impacted during recessionary periods. Now, of course, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how things will play out this time around or next time around. However, by taking a look at past data, where it gives us an idea of what to expect, even though we don't know how things will pan out. And want to say this: 2020, we did experience a recession of sort. Well, we did experience an economic slowdown. However, it wasn't as a result of a housing crisis, it was as a result of a health crisis. So, of course, the pandemic, um, there was a huge economic slowdown. In fact, we're still feeling the effects of that with a delay in supply chain demand, which of course is why everything is so inflated. The lack of supply in reference to the demand for the product, there is a huge imbalance, which of course causes prices to spike, whether that's in goods and services or in housing. Now, this time around, who is to say, okay, what really is causing a recession or what will cause a recession? Um, I guess we have yet to find out. But the following slides, we are going to take a little bit of a deep dive and see how housing was affected during recessionary periods. Here is a graph that shows mortgage rates during recessionary periods. This dates back to the early 70s. The blue line indicates the 30-year fixed mortgage rates. The yellow are the recessionary periods. Overall, the graph shows what interest rates were during recessionary periods. And this is useful because we can compare current rates to what rates were during past periods of economic slowdown. Okay, this particular chart is different, but it has the same information. This one I feel is easier to read. Let's take a look at what happened with mortgage rates during the past recessions or during past recessions. Here we can see what rates were at the beginning and what they fell to. What does each recession what does each recession have in common? We can see that interest rates fell. Now, is this going to play out the same in the next recession as it has in past recessions? We have no idea. However, we can learn a lot by examining this data, and I feel it is important because it kind of preps us or tells us what to possibly expect. As we continue to watch economic conditions and navigate the housing market, let's remember that a recession does not equal a housing crisis. Now, last time, granted, yes, we did experience a housing crisis. However, this time around is much different. Lending practices have changed for the better, and the minimum credit score required to qualify a loan is higher than it was back then. Most importantly, inventory levels are still low, very low, in fact, in comparison to the amount of inventory that was on the market back in 2008. As we wrap up, we are going to take an in depth look at inventory because, after all, inventory determines what the market is going to do. Inventory determines prices, or inventory levels, should I say, plays a big role in all of these dynamics. In fact, due to low inventory and high buyer demand, has been the reason why home prices has spiked for several years and continue to do so. So with this chart, as I mentioned, we're going to dissect it. It's into four sections. We're going to look at offers received, offers over asking, sales, and inventory. As you can see indicated by the arrows, the first three, we've seen a decrease in offers received. We've seen a decrease in offers over the asking price, and we've seen a decrease in home sales. We're going to dissect why this is. And of course, we've seen an increase in inventory levels as well. So, my take on the reduction of offers received is due to the fact that home prices are up, interest rates are up as well, and some buyers have been priced out of the market. Also, we have many home buyers who, if they haven't purchased a house by the time as the semester starts, they will delay their home purchase until the following year. In regard to a reduction in offers being received over the asking price, I feel that we're starting to see a price correction. Of course, it being a seller's market, many sellers have been over ambitious in their pricing or wanting to test the market and just see how much they can sell their homes for. And as a result, people are not offering over the asking price. Right now, buyers are offering whatever the list price is. At least as mentioned, these are my opinions due to why there is a reduction in this and also to the affordability. So obviously, the higher the price, the more money a buyer's gonna have to put down on their loan, and also the more money they will have to contribute or pay toward their closing costs. So buyers, instead of going over the asking price, they're just offering whatever that list price is. And there is more, or should I say, there is less competition in the market as well, due to some of the reasons I mentioned for why we aren't seeing as many offers received as before. In regards to reduced sales price, these all correlate and have a domino effect. So obviously, if there's a reduction in offers received, there will be a reduction in sales as well. And two, keep in mind, most importantly, we are post COVID. So many, what do I want to say? A lot of things surrounding COVID have relaxed in comparison to what it was when we first entered the pandemic. So 2020, we're more, if we compare 2020 to now, we're more relaxed because we are post that situation. And there isn't as large of a migration happening. When the health crisis first happened, and it was almost, well, it was pandemonium, but we saw a large migration and people wanting, those who lived in the city, they wanted to move out further to the suburbs and even to the country. So there was a lot of movement in housing, or you saw people who lived in apartments. They were like, well, let's just purchase a home and have our own personal space as opposed to living in an apartment. So that is the reason why I feel there has been, or some of the reason, or one of the reasons why we've seen a reduction in sales. And of course, all of these, as mentioned, there will be a domino effect, hence the increased inventory right now. Here's a chart that shows the inventory levels nationally. So as you can see, the heading says not enough homes for sale. Total housing inventory registered at the end of June was 1,260,000 units. Unsold inventory sits at a 3 month supply at the current sales pace. So if you look to the right of your screen, or where the green bar is, that shows 2022. Again, these numbers are from June, the end of June. And you will see that says 3 months supply. This data, or this chart, goes back to 1999, just to put things in perspective as to where we are inventory wise. Remember that inventory plays a direct role in a housing crash. We are still in a seller's market. A balanced market is considered 6 months supply of inventory. Right now, we are at 3 months nationally. So we're still below where a balanced market would be. And the dotted black line shows you the comparison as mentioned. So if we start at the green bar and go left, you can see that the inventory levels in 2021 was 2.3 months. 2020 was just over 3 months. 2019 and 2018, I would even go to 2017. We were averaging around 4 months of inventory nationally. So if we want to compare, let's compare to the last normal year, which is pre-pandemic, which is 2019 and 2018. So we aren't even at the levels of where we were in regard to inventory levels in 2019 and 2018. 2018 and 2019, there was no talk of a housing crash. We are below those levels. So why there's talk of a housing crash, I have no idea. But always keep in mind to check the inventory levels wherever you are. At the end of the day, the amount of inventory on the market has a direct correlation on if there's a housing crash or will be. And as you can see, as of the end of June, we were at 3 months, and these are national levels. Again, wherever you are or whatever market you're interested in, if you want to determine the real estate market there or what's going on with it, remember to always check the inventory levels. So, on the following slides, we will take a look at the Atlanta market and see how we see where we are or how we fare in comparison to the rest of the states. But As you can see right here, so hope this answers your question. Recession, yes, okay, recession is an economic slowdown. Remember, we had an economic slowdown in 2020. However, housing, what do I want to say? Housing prices actually went up, like went up and continue to go up. And prices are still appreciating even now in 2022. Of course, not as rapidly as they did in 2020 and 2021. However, home prices are still appreciating, and that's due to a lack of inventory and high buyer demand. I hope this helped. We will take a look at the Atlanta market on the following slide. All right, guys, so here we are looking at data for Metro Atlanta. I don't know if you realize, but one of my favorite things to do is to look at the data. So, and this is the most recent. You will notice it says July 2022. However, we do wait for all of the various sources to report their sales and also for the tax records to be updated whenever there's a change in title. So there's always a bit of a lag time. So we don't receive August or the data for August until around the first week of September or toward the end of the first week of September. But this is the most recent or current data for the Atlanta area. And the first portion is for residential detached. And you will see that pending sales for July, we were at just under 4,000 and we had just over 6,700 new listings. Closed sales, it was 4,352. And what I actually will do while I'm breaking this down with the closed sales, because that's always important, right? Like, what is the difference there? So we do have a reduction of 29.3%, which year over date or year to date, that's a decrease of 11.3%. So compared to end of July this year and end of July last year, that was a decrease by 11.3%. Days on market until sale. That's what all sellers want to know, right? How long does it take to sell my home? So, days on market till sale is from the time that the property was listed to the time the seller accepted an offer and went under contract. So, the average days on market was 16, and that's an increase of 14.3%. Year to date, that was a decrease of 10%. Median sales price. I don't like to look at median sales price because to me it's not as accurate as average sales price. But median sales price says $444,450. Average sales price in the greater Atlanta area, $535,777. That's an increase of 14.8%. And average sales price, why I prefer the average sales price, I feel it's more accurate because it actually calculates. So it will take the number of closed homes or homes that sold and then add up all those numbers and then divide it. Whereas median sales price, for instance, if we have 11 homes and price starts or they range in price between 300,000 to 750,000. They just find the middle. So median is okay, what's that middle number between 300,000 and 750,000? Whereas average sales price, they actually add up all of those numbers and then divide it by the amount of homes, which gives you the average sales price. Okay, percent of list price received. This means that, hey, I have my house listed for 450. Did I receive 450 or did I receive under? So we have where that percentage is just over 100%. So basically, the average is 1%. So sellers received about 1% over their asking or list price. And that is a decrease of 1.3%. Inventory of homes for sale, 9,740. That's how many homes were on the market end of July 2022. That's an increase of 45.7%. So, of course, these are year-to-date numbers or between 2021 around the same time. Month supply of inventory. There is where the truth is, right? How much month supply of inventory do we have? In the greater Atlanta area as of the end of July, it was 2 months. That's an increase of 66.7%. So again, remember a balanced market is 6 months supply of inventory. We are at around 2 months. The bottom part of this chart shows the same numbers, but for residential attached, meaning condos and townhomes. And I'm just going to hit the main points. You can read the rest of this at your leisure. So closed sales for attached homes was 1,237. That's a decrease of 25.7%. Average days on market till sales 15, which is an improvement. Last year, around the same time, it was 23 average days on market. We see the median sales price here, but as mentioned, I prefer to look at the average. Average sales price for attached was 377,592. That's an increase of 14.5%. And percent of list price received, again, that number is around 1%, meaning that sellers on average received about 1% over their asking price. And then the month supply of inventory for attached homes is 1.6 month supply. So hope this information helps, but as you can see, we're still experiencing an inventory deficit in the greater Atlanta area. And these numbers are for the following counties: Cherokee, Clayton, Cobb, DeKalb, Douglas, Fayette, Forsyth, Fulton, Gwinnett, Rockdale, and Paulding counties. By the way, if you would like these same numbers on your county, your city, zip code, or even neighborhood, please don't hesitate to contact me. We do get very granular or very targeted with this data. However, this is for the collective for the greater Atlanta area. We are experiencing an economic slowdown, and this is not unusual in a rising rate and inflationary environment. Also, too, we have seen a reduction in home sales. We've seen a reduction in offers received over the list price, and we've seen a reduction in overall offers received. And reasons for this include the rising interest rates, includes the fact that school semester has started and most families do not want to move once the semester has started. And also post-COVID practices, or should I say post-COVID activities, have changed. So there is less migration now than there was, of course, during 2020 and early 2021. Another thing that we touched on is that, the inventory is up. So as a result of all of those dynamics, of course, we have increased inventory, which is good news for buyers because now buyers have more options. There's not as much competition in the market now as compared to last year. So there is less competition. We are seeing still multiple offers, just not as many. So the fact that there is a bit more inventory on the market is good news for buyers. And we are still in a seller's market because overall inventory is still low. I know here in the Atlanta area for single family detached homes, as of our most recent was 2 months, and that's for detached homes. And for attached homes, which includes condos and townhomes, we're still very low at 1.6 months of inventory. And what else did we touch on? Oh, so there's no housing crash. There is not, if you have an expectation of a housing crash, that is not going to happen because inventory is still very low. And home prices will continue to appreciate throughout 2026, however, just at a more moderate pace. Experts are saying that over the next year or year and a half, we will be in a recession. And another thing we mentioned, or that was noted, is that price deceleration is not price depreciation. So as mentioned, home prices will continue to appreciate just at a more moderate level. So yes, home prices have decelerated, meaning has come down, but there is no depreciation of value. I hope that you found this information helpful. As always, my goal is to provide you with accurate information so that you can make the best decisions for yourself and your families. If you have a home to sell or are in the market to purchase a primary residence or an investment property, please don't hesitate to contact me. All of my contact information is provided within the slides of this video. That's all for now. Until next time, take good care.